Welcome, everybody.
Hey, hey. Good boy, Tucker.
Work smarter where you want.
This is learning at its most fun.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today on another Redtail Thursday webinar. My name is Curtis Ware, and I'm going to be taking you through a tour of the contact record. So again, today's topic is really just going to be a general overview of specifically a single contact. We're going to start by just showing you some everything that gets connected to the contact, and then how you can manage them from there itself. So what I'm going to do is quickly just switch over to the CRM itself. As you'll notice, we are already on a contact record itself. If you're not familiar with how to get to a contact or the different ways, the easiest way itself is to always just use, and I'm just going to go to the Today page here, on the main landing page, is to up here at the top, use the search contacts box. So if I type in, I'm just type in Kevin, you'll see that I get a drop down that actually gives me other contact records who have a matching first or last name that I type in this search. So this is one easy way to get to Kevin's record by clicking on him from that drop down. I do also want to point out that you can get to other contacts more than just by first and last name in this search contacts box. So if I type in Kevin and hit enter, instead of actually choosing a contact from the dropdown, it'll show me a list of other contacts in itself. Now, again, let's jump back to Kevin Arnold's record. From the main contact record, I do like to point out that up at the top where you have your the first and last name of the contact, you can actually add additional information by going to the right-hand side where it says Edit Basic Info. So this is one of our icons where when I click on it, I can change the name, first name, last name. I can add a nickname, a middle name itself. I can even change the information in that top box of their job title, who their employer is, and even the contact type. So there's a lot of different layers for an individual contact, but the highest level of all contacts is the contact type. And there's 5 options for that. So anytime you add a brand new contact, it's going to ask you, is it an individual, a business, association, trust, or union? And I can see right away that this type is marked as individual. I point this out because sometimes maybe I added it as an individual contact, but it really should be a business record instead. You can use this dropdown to change any contact record to the appropriate business or the appropriate contact type. Now, some of these drop-down fields, for instance, like the suffix over here on the right-hand side, you'll see that I can choose whether they're a second, third, junior, senior, or I can even come over to salutation. I have a long list. Now, this in itself, where the salutation, this is a customizable list. And there's going to be a few times I'm going to be pointing out customizable lists in Redtail. And so before we get too deep into the contact, I'm going to point out to where you have the ability to change any of those custom lists. Okay, so keep in mind, salutation, I can customize. If you don't see an option here that you want to add, you can definitely add to it. So again, to change or to add to any of our customizable lists, you can go to your name in the top right-hand corner, then choose Manage Your Account. Once you're on the Manage Your Account page, if you have admin rights, you can come down to the bottom where it says Admins Only, and then you have the ability to click Manage Database Lists. Now, again, Manage Database Lists is just going to show me a list of all the customizable lists in Redtail. And a lot of the ones that we're going to be looking at have to deal in the contact section. So throughout today's webinar, I'm going to mention a few times that this is a customizable list. What that means is you can come into the page we're at right now and come over to the right-hand side. Like, for instance, I can click Salutations, and I can see that list, and I can choose to add to it if I would like. Okay, so I just like to point that out because I am going to be mentioning that we do have customizable lists a few times throughout today's webinar. Now, because I navigated away from the contact already, the easiest way to get back to a contact record if you've recently been in them is to actually go in the top right-hand corner to the third icon over. So the little person with their hands in the air, that little icon, and you'll see it's going to show me actually the last 12 contact records that I've been in. And Kevin Arnold's at the top because I was just in his record, and I can click on his name and go directly back to the contact. Okay, so keep in mind that recently viewed is a really easy way to get back to specific contact records that you were just working on. Now, next to the actual edit basic info, I also have contact card where I can click on it and I can actually see here's the different ways I can communicate with this contact. Easy enough. If I need to edit any of these, I can choose the action icon. But if I want to add to this list, I do want to point out that below we have the contact card here as well. Now, normally I would be the one to ask, why do I need to click on the contact card and have it pop up if it's already on my screen? Well, we are on the main landing page of the contact record, and we're not always going to be looking at this section where I see the contact card. The benefit of this box up here are these icons are always going to be at the top of your screen when you're inside of a contact. So, for instance, if I go, let's say, to the left navigation menu where I see Kevin's name and all of the sub areas where I can actually dive deeper into the contact. So, if I click on accounts, I no longer have that contact automatically up on the screen, but I can still come up over here and click on the contact card to see that information. So that's why I like to point out that that's a really useful icon to have, because anytime I'm in Kevin Arnold's record, no matter where I am, I can always find the contact card to communicate with them if I need. Anytime you need to go back to the main landing page of the main contact, you can always go back to the left navigation menu and just click on their name. And then again, that's just going to take me back to the main landing page, the first page of the contact. Now, along with these icons, I also have next to the contact card is I have important info. Important information is a box that actually tells me certain things I need to know about the contact before contacting them. So what I mean by that is this is a free form text. You can type in whatever you want. It's not like a note where it saves and like archives and like you can't change the information after it's in there. This is always a constantly changing box, but it lets me add information in here that, for instance, it says right up at the top, don't call him Kev. So if I know that he prefers to be called Kevin instead of Kev, I know right away when I call him, I'm not going to say, hey, Kev, this is Curtis. I'm going to say, hey, Kevin. I'm actually going to, exactly treat him as he prefers to be treated. Now, there's a lot of different uses for important information. For instance, some talking points as well. Hey, he's starting to save for a college fund. Different types of anything you're working with them, you can put here. But keep in mind, this is not a way to say I'm making a note. This is just sort of an ongoing sketch pad of information or a notepad in itself of just, again, like I say, things you need to know about the contact before actually contacting them. And anytime you update it or change information, you will see that it'll say, here's the last time it was updated. Now, if there is information in important info, this box or this circle itself is going to be solid red. If there's not any information in there, if this was actually just blank, if I didn't type anything in there, that would actually just be a hollow circle. You'd still see the exclamation mark, but I'm not going to see that it's solid red. That's a good indicator that if I'm about to call him, I'm going to click on this, see what's in there first to make sure that I'm not going to say something that I shouldn't be. Now, next to important information, we also have this stack of papers icon that we refer to as common tasks. So this is if you need to do some sort of action with the contact record. And so you'll see I can add them to things like a seminar or tag group. I can run mail merges, run reports, even exports. I can even do some things with our integrations here as well, or even I can choose to delete the contact. So again, if you actually need to do something with the contact record itself, you can use the common tasks icon. Now this, even if I hit run a report, and you'll see there's the 3 little dots after, I can click on that and it's going to show me, okay, what kind of report do you want to run? So even you can dig down deeper into that section to find specific reports. And keep in mind, in Redtail, anytime it says report, it's going to give you a PDF. So it'll open up as a PDF. If it says export, it's going to open up in Excel. So you do have different options to export this information, whether a PDF form or Excel form, that however you prefer. Now, below this main box itself, we also have some dates. So for instance, next review date is linked into an actual reminder that we have. So I can be reminded anytime I click on one of these dates or numbers in this bar, it'll actually take me to the section of the contact where that is actually set up. So for instance, all I did from Kevin's main record is I clicked on the date 5/4/2021, which is the next review reminder date. And you'll see that it automatically took me to, Here's the client review reminder and how it gets set up. Same thing goes with any of these other dates. If I click on the next activity, this is going to open up the activity, or even last activity. Last activity is referring to the last completed activity that happened for this contact. So the next one is the 14th. Even though today is the 21st, next activity says the 14th. That's because in my list below it, I have past due and next 30. This is referring to my calendar items that are attached to this contact record. So I can see that I was supposed to send paperwork on the 14th for this contact record. If it's in this list and it's before today, it means it's an activity that has not been completed. And that's why it shows up here at the top of, this is the next activity I need to get completed. Whereas the one to the right is, here's the last activity I actually completed for them. And just an easy reference of what's actually happening with this contact. Now, again, I can still see past due activities. So if I have a number of past due activities for the contact, this number will go up. I can see right away I only have one past due activity, and it also still shows here. If there's any workflows attached to the contact, I'll see a number listed there as well. And then I can even see their portfolio balance. So if you have accounts feeding in, or if you've manually added accounts to a contact record, you will see the portfolio balance. And any of these, again, these are all links to the specific places where the data is held. So if I click on the number in the portfolio balance, it will take me to the actual accounts page for Kevin. Now, before we dive a little deeper into each of those, I also want to talk a little bit about the relationship that this contact record has with other contact records, particularly the family section. So below Kevin's name, where we can see that he's a writer at the Wonder Years magazine, I see that he's also married to Gwendolyn Cooper Arnold. And then next to it, we have what we refer to as the family name. Now, the family name is completely customizable. You get to decide what you want to put. I've decided that I'm referring to the family name as their last name, and then the family. So I can see here's the Arnold Cooper family. When I click on it, it actually takes me into the family structure where I can automatically see that Kevin is marked as the head of household, that Winnie over here is marked as the spouse, and then they have a child that's linked to them, Fred Arnold. If you need to add additional members to the family section, all you have to do is come down here and hit add dependent. And then you can search for the existing contact or even create a new contact record from here. And then decide what the relationship is of that contact record to the head of household. So are they a child, grandchild, or even just general other to the actual head of household record? Now, again, this is a way to set up the family structure. At Redtail, we normally suggest that this is anybody who is dependent on the head of household. So if Fred is a grown child, if he no longer is claimed on his parents' tax forms, then he should not be in this section. There is other places you can list relationships, and I'll show you that a little bit later in the memberships section. But again, the family section is designed for anybody dependent on the head of household. Now, if you need to make any changes to the structure in regards to maybe changing the head of household or even changing the name of the family name, so up here where it says the Arnold Cooper family, you can go to the right side and choose the gear icon. And then if I want to change the name of the family name field, I hit edit, and then I can type in whatever I would like right here. Now, again, the family name is how you would want to address the family as a whole, whether it's an individual person, whether it's two people, or even if it's a whole family. So in this case, there's three of them, so I'm referring to them as the Arnold Cooper family. But if maybe it's just Kevin and Winnie, I could even type in Mr. and Mrs. Or Mr. Kevin and Mrs. Winnie Cooper Arnold. I can type in, again, whatever I would like to do there. Now, again, to get back to Kevin's main record, I come over to the left navigation menu and click on his name. Again, just takes me to his contact record pretty easily. And now below that, again, so we're going to focus on these numbers again, and we're going to get a little deeper into them. Now, the activities right here, past due, next 30. Anytime I add an activity, I can do so right from here. Add it to this, automatically attaches Kevin as a contact record. So if I hit add activity, you're going to see Kevin Arnold's name is right there. Another way to add something to the database other than the add activity button is up here at the top. I have the quick add icon, so that plus sign. This is another icon that's always going to be at the top of your screen no matter what. So it doesn't matter if I'm on the calendar, if I'm on the report section, Or if I'm in a contact record, I can always choose to add something by using the plus sign in the top right-hand corner. The benefit of this icon when you're in a contact record is anything you choose to add. For instance, if I click on notes, is going to attach itself to the contact record you're in. So this is making the note to Kevin's record right up here. If I weren't in a contact record, it will not automatically fill out who the contact is, and you will need to make sure and attach the contact when creating that note, activity, or whatever item you're choosing to add through the quick add icon. But the benefit of starting from the contact record is it'll automatically attach that contact to that item that you're adding. If I click over from past due and next 30 onto latest notes, I'm going to see here's all of the notes that I've added into Kevin's record recently. Now, again, this is not all of the notes. So I can scroll down a little bit. I'm going to see some of the notes. This is just what's happened recently. Both these items of past due and next 30 and latest notes are designed to just show you a quick view of what's currently outstanding or what's recently happened. If I want to dive further into Kevin's activities, then I'm going to go to the left navigation menu, and under his name, I'm going to click on activities. Now, this in itself gives me other views. I can see it, every calendar item that's attached to Kevin Arnold's record in a list view right here. And if I want to change, where right now I'm looking at past due and next 7 days of activities, I can click on filter dates on the right. And then you'll see I have a larger option to choose from, different options. I can even choose a custom range in regards to what activities am I looking for. Now, again, all these activities that are going to show in this report are everything that's attached to Kevin Arnold's record himself. Okay, and even in the top right-hand corner from this page, I can still add an activity. But again, I always have that plus sign. Now, back on Kevin's record, we also have next to past due and next 30 is we have latest notes. Now, again, this is just the latest notes. It's not every single note. If I want to see all of the notes that are included in Kevin's record, I can go to notes on the left navigation menu. So again, the main page of the contact will just show you a brief information about what's currently going on with the latest notes, the activities. But if I want to dive further into it, see everything that's attached, you want to use the left navigation menu. And now I see here's the contact notes. Here's all of his notes. I can keep scrolling. I can see all the notes that were made into Kevin's record. And what's great about this page is on the right-hand side, I actually have a filters box. So if I only want to see certain types of notes, I can actually choose where the notes were made from, or I can even choose the categories. If I only want to see certain types of categories, for instance, I only want to see client meeting and client review notes, I can check both those boxes and then hit apply. Once you apply it, it's going to show you just those particular notes itself. So I can easily see that I'm looking at notes that were made through either an email, a regular note, or workflows. Again, this is where the note was made from as a type. And then the category is how you chose to categorize the note when you made it. So anytime you do add a note, so if I hit the blue add note button, you'll notice that I can type in the body of the note and then choose the category. So that's what we're looking at, is this category dropdown is how we can actually narrow down and filter our notes from the main contact themselves. All right, let's go back over to Kevin's record again. So back on the main page, to the right-hand side, we also have the contact card here. What I want to point out is this is a little newer, where we actually have the local time showing for this contact. What this is showing me is actually the time based off of the zip code for their primary address. So I can see that he lives in 1432 Main Street, Anytown, California, and it's 95610. Okay, so that's the zip code. That's where this local time is pulling from. So if you ever see that, hey, the local time is wrong for them, I actually need to update that. You want to go to the address and then update it through the zip code itself. You can also see that you can have multiple numbers, multiple email addresses. Everything is going to be listed for how to contact this contact record all right here. Below the contact card is we have the contact details box. In my opinion, this is probably the most important section of the contact record past the actual name of the contact. The reason I say that is this actually tells you why the contact record is in your database. So looking at this list in contact details, On the left column, these are all the field names. On the right column, these are all the field values. So I can see that we have status and category. His status is active client. His category is AAA. If I edit this box, it allows me to choose different drop downs so I can actually change those values if I need to. Now, earlier when I mentioned there's other customizable lists in Redtail, this is one of the customizable lists. So you can actually change the statuses, the categories, the source, servicing, and writing advisor. Those are all customizable lists that you have control over by going to the manager account section and then selecting to manage database lists. Now, again, these are going to be telling me why they're in my database. Well, I can see he's an active AAA client. He came from a referral, specifically came from Tim Taylor, and he belongs to Tucker and Rick. I see all that information right from that box. Then on the right-hand side, I can see their gender, I can see the tax ID, marital status, and then a few other date options. So their marital anniversary will give me a reminder. Also, the client since, we have reminders based off of that. Date of birth, we have birthday reminder set up in the system. So as long as you're plugging in information, you can actually use this to your advantage. Two fields that actually don't really get utilized as often is the client since and client termination date. And I highly suggest that you get in the habit of using those because you can actually report on information based off of how many contacts became clients in a specific year, or even how many clients did we lose based off of the client termination date. So you can actually really use this information to find out what's going on with your business, how many clients are coming in versus how many clients are going out. Now you'll also notice there is a date of death field. This actual box does not show, you'll see it doesn't show in this list until there's actually a value in there. So again, that's the one box that doesn't show until you hit edit. But once you fill out this date, it will update and you'll see it on the main page. Anytime you fill out the date of death, I do like to point out that the birthday reminder will automatically be disabled. So if you fill this date out, this box will get unchecked. Now, even if you don't fill out the date of death, you can still manually choose to uncheck the reminder for the birthdays if you don't want this contact getting birthday reminders. Now, below the contact details, and again, we're still on the main page, so we're on the main contact page. If I scroll down below contact details, I have this box. We refer to it as the one look section. Now, a lot of this information is actually being pulled from our know your client section on the right hand side, but these are the most commonly used fields and sections of that box that we decided to put on the main page. Now you'll notice there's also these different tabs up top, so I can go between the keywords and tags page to the UDFs page to financials. The first two tabs, keywords, tags, and UDFs, UDF stands for user defined fields. So what that means is you can actually create fields specific to your database as well as keywords and tag groups. The reason I'm pointing these first two tabs out to you first is everything in here are customizable lists. Keywords are a customizable list that you get to control. You get to create what tag groups are in your actual database. And same thing goes for UDF. So user defined fields, you get to decide what are the fields that you're deciding to put in this section. What I love about UDFs is essentially if there's a field that doesn't exist in Redtail and you want to report on it, you can create that field and add value to it. So for instance, you'll see I have preferred meeting type and the value is face to face. I can see what their coffee preference is, their favorite movie. I can actually, any field you can possibly think of. Again, if it doesn't exist in Redtail, you can create and list that information here. So that way you're not losing out on anything. Now, next to that, we also have the financials. Everything after here, for instance, the financial, all these fields cannot be changed. So again, keywords, tags, and UDFs are customizable. Financials, important information, miscellaneous client info, these are not customizable fields. So everything essentially here that's available is the only option. So if you hit edit in the strategic allocation model, I can choose the objective, I can do the risk tolerance. None of this stuff is customizable, but you can fill this information out if you need that information. Now, again, I can always come over to the right-hand side and I can choose miscellaneous client info. This allows me to fill out their identification. So this is where I can fill out a driver's license or even multiple different types of identifications. Anytime you hit add, you'll notice that it's going to say ID type. So if it's a military ID, a passport, you can add that information into the system. And then below this box, you'll see that we have open workflow tasks. If you have workflows attached to this contact record and there's one currently open, you will see a list of the tasks that need to happen for that actual workflow. The benefit from there is if Kevin were to call in and I open up his contact record, what I can do is from this overview bar, I would see a number 1 on active workflows. And I would see, or even if he has 2 workflows going, I would see that he has currently workflows happening. I don't have to click on that. I can just scroll to the bottom of the screen and I can see what's currently being worked on in regards to workflow tasks. All right, so that's so far just the main page of the contact record. We're going to switch our focus back over to the left navigation menu. So we've been over here a few times already. So again, when I clicked on the portfolio balance, it took me to the accounts page. What I like to point out here is if I click on more, this list is actually pretty long, but everything that is tabbed over underneath Kevin's name means that we're looking at that particular item for that particular contact. So if I start at the top and click on accounts, I can go straight to Kevin's account page. From here, it tells me I'm looking at accounts, lists all of his accounts here. In the middle section, you'll see where it says flags. This tells me essentially what is going on with that particular account. If you have a feed, like an aggregation feed or a custodian feeding over account information, you will actually see where it says linked account. That means that this account is being fed in from somewhere else and the values are being updated. If it doesn't have the linked account flag, for instance, like these two, it means it has been manually added into my database. And you can add an account anytime you want by choosing add account in the top right-hand corner. And then you can create the shell of the account from here. And then after it's created, go in and add value and give it a balance. Now, even though it only says accounts right now, and I can see that maybe Winnie also has her own accounts, to the right-hand side, I have this options icon, and you'll see I can run certain reports, or I can even click on show family accounts. Now, what this does is when I click on it, it's going to change the name to family accounts now. And this is now also going to list any account that's in a family member's record is also showing on this page. So even though I am in Kevin Arnold's record, anybody, so Winnie, or even we had, if I click on back on the family section here, any account under Fred or Winnie is now going to show in that accounts page. So again, click back on accounts on the left navigation menu. It still says family accounts. And now you'll see that I have this third account down says linked account, and then it says family. When you hover over family, you'll see the name of the contact record that it belongs to. So this account is actually in Winnie's contact record, but because I'm choosing to show family accounts, I can see it from this page. So just because you have accounts in different contact records doesn't mean you can't see them together. If they're linked through the family section, you can see all of those all of those accounts together. Now, actually, notes happen the same way. If I go back to the left navigation menu and click on notes, I can see that on the actual filter I have on the right-hand side, in a very similar fashion where it says show family notes, I can check this box and apply it. And now any note that was made in Winnie's, Fred's, or Kevin's record is all going to show on this same page. And that's all because this box is checked. When you scroll down, if you see the name of another contact record in the bottom right-hand corner of that note, it means this note exists in her contact record, not in Kevin's. If I scroll down, you'll see that here's one that doesn't have a name. This note is in Kevin's record. But I do like to point out that the family section is useful to link everybody together, but also allows me to view multiple notes, multiple accounts that all belong to that family all on one page. Now, back to the left navigation menu. We already looked at activities a little bit, so I'm going to click on documents right below that. Redtail does have the CRM document storage available for any Redtail user. So if you did want to upload a document that is specific to a contact record, you can actually come in here and choose to upload, and then you can actually pull a document from your computer and upload it into the system. So that means anything listed here is a document that is specific to Kevin Arnold. Back on the left-hand navigation menu again, now we're going to dive into the Know Your Client section. And again, remember, Know Your Client is going to house certain things like the client review reminder, which is going to remind me how often I'm bringing Kevin Arnold in for a review. This box itself works based off of the field of first review date and then what you want the frequency to be. So when you edit this box for client review reminder, you choose that date. And right now it says this is repeating every 6 months on the day 4 of every month. So you can actually choose custom. We have a few already filled out here. So annually on November 4th, every weekday, Monday through Friday, or the custom item allows you to actually choose any possible frequency you can think of how often you want to be reminded that Kevin should have a review. Now, diving deeper into the Know Your Client section, you're going to notice that the financials, important information, miscellaneous client info, all of this information was on the main page. So back on Kevin's record, when you click on his name and you scroll down past the contact details, all of that information is here on this page as well. So again, this is just mainly pulling from the Know Your Client section. There are a few other things here that don't show, for instance, like the professional tab. Professional allows you to list different employments that Kevin might have had, as well as list different professional contacts. This is another way to mark relationships that Kevin Arnold has to other contact records in your database. What this shows me is I can see who his insurance agent is, who his CPA is, and who his attorney is, all from this page. I can actually come over here. If I delete, I'm going to delete out Paul Pfeiffer, and we're going to re-add him. If I want to mark that he has an attorney, so again, who is Kevin Arnold's attorney, I can go to the Know Your Client page, come over to Professional. Then on the right-hand side, I can click on Add, and then I'm going to search for an actual contact record. I'm going to type in Paul, so we're just going to use the first name, select Paul Pfeiffer, because they already exist as a contact record, and then I can choose the profession. Now, this used to only be system types where you can say these were the only options. We've recently added in the ability to do custom types, which again, this is a customizable list. To change any of your customizable lists, that'll be under the Manage Your Account section where it says Manage Database Lists. I'm just going to use the system type option here where Paul Pfeiffer is his attorney, and I can add that in easy enough. And again, this is just a way of mark of who are the professional people that are connected to Kevin Arnold. Now, back over to the left-hand navigation menu up on top here, we also have email history. If you subscribe to either our archiving or our email hosting services, then you will use this section. So again, if you don't host or archive with Redtail, then you will not actually use this. This will list any of the incoming or outgoing emails that you've sent or received from or to Kevin. So everything will be listed here. And again, that's only if you subscribe to our email services that it will show. If I click on the More button, you're going to see we have so many different sections in the contact. I'm actually not going to dive into every single one of these, but I do like to point out that you have the ability to add UDFs, licenses, different recruiting information, assets and liabilities, as well as even jump into their memberships. The membership section is where you can list all of their other relationships. So again, earlier we talked about the family section, which is anybody dependent on the head of household. But memberships allows me to link Kevin Arnold to any other contact record in my database, and I can list what the relationship is. So easy enough, if I come down here, I can see that Norma Arnold is his mother, whereas Karen is his sister and Jack is his father. So I can link, again, any contact to another contact record in my system by using the memberships page. Going further down on the left navigation menu, if you're using opportunities or seminars, this will show you any opportunities or seminars that are attached to this contact record. Same thing goes with workflows. One section on here below the workflows that says permissions/roles is something that not everybody is going to be able to see. So permissions and roles in a contact record are set up to limit viewing options and have automatic assignments for workflows. The reason that I mentioned not everybody can view this is an admin only function. So if your username does not have admin rights, then you will not even see it say permissions/roles. That tab will not exist for you. But if you do have admin rights, then you can actually click on it and then see the first box shows me the contact permissions. Permissions are saying who's allowed to view this contact. Now, when you first add a contact record, it actually adds it so everybody can view them. If you want to limit the view, you can add additional things here. So if I hit add, I can choose that I want a certain user or a specific team to be able to view this contact record. I already have 3 listed here. What this means is any user who's part of Tucker's team can see Kevin Arnold. The individual user of Curtis can see this contact, and the individual user of Catherine can see this contact. The reason why you can do either team or user is maybe me and Catherine are not on Tucker's team, but we use this contact or we work with this client. So we added ourselves as individual users to be able to view them. If you are not on this list, or if you're not part of Tucker's team, when you go to search for Kevin Arnold, you will not even see them in the database. So again, if you are not permission to see this contact, when you search, you will not see their name. If you want to make sure that everybody can view all contacts at any time, you'll want to make sure that there is nothing here. So you can actually remove, I can come over and say delete permission, and I can delete them. If I delete all 3 of these, it means now any user in my database, regardless of who they are, can now view Kevin Arnold as a contact record. But if I want to limit that again, all I have to do is go to add in the top right-hand corner of that box and say that I only want a certain team or a certain user to view this contact record. All right, now below the contact permissions is we have contact roles. Now, contact roles are really only going to be useful if you're using workflows. Now, workflows have the ability to assign tasks to the advisor, associate advisor, or CSA. What that means is I need to decide who is the advisor, who is the associate advisor, and who is the CSA for Kevin Arnold. So again, these are going to be for automatic assignments for workflow tasks if you are using workflows. If I hit edit roles on the right-hand side, I'm going to see a list of all the users for each of those dropdowns, and I can select which user belongs to which role for that contact. Now, last thing I want to show on the main contact page is over the left navigation menu again, where it says timeline. Anytime you click on timeline, this is going to show me every single addition, update, or deletion that happened in regards to the contact record. It's essentially going to be like an audit trail of everything that happened. So anytime I add a note, add an activity, if I add an address, change a phone number, anything that happened to the contact will be listed when I click on timeline.
Thanks so much for joining us today for this particular session. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to give us a call at 800-206-5030, option 3 for support, or just shoot us an email over to support@redtailtechnology.com. Thanks a lot and have a great day.